that's amazing. I mean, that makes absolutely everything we do so much more worthwhile. This is what I love to do either way, but to have that sort of impact on somebody's life. And I also have people come up to me, very young kids come up to me and say that they were so deeply involved in drugs until they discovered our band and kind of looked more into some of our philosophies, and now they're totally clean, and they said that their lives are completely different and completely better as a result of it, and thanked me for that. And to make that kind of change in someone's life, I mean, I can never grow numb to that. How could you?
I also have another quote here from Revolver magazine, and this is a quote of yours, and it says, "The state of modern music is horrible. People are going backwards, trying to create music that's already been done several times, or they're doing hybrid music, taking two genres that sound great alone but horrible together." Now, are there any bands out there who are doing it right, in your opinion?
Yeah, in fact, since I made that statement, I've actually been listening to the radio far more than I have then. Since they started playing our song, I keep the radio on at all times in order to hear it, because it excites me every time, no matter how many times I hear it. And I think it's really gotten a lot better now. In fact, I know it has, because you could turn on the radio and you can hear Fisher Spinner, and you could hear Interpol, and you could hear Queens of the Stone Age. And those are great bands. They're all like authentic, real, wonderful bands, and it's really nice to have that sort of refreshing change. And I think that change continues. You can hear Sparta on the radio every once in a while, and it's Jimmy Eat World. It's getting a lot better. It's nice.
The radio and MTV is letting these bands filter in, like Interpol or like the Queens of the Stone Age, like real rock bands or bands that actually are bucking the trend. And I think that's a sign that things are about to change. We're about to see a paradigm shift, kind of like when Nirvana came in and changed everything. And I think everybody kind of wants that. Kids just don't really know yet, I think, but they're getting tired of everything they're hearing and everything they're being forced to listen to. And I think that hopefully we can be part of that. It'd be nice to be part of it, maybe an agent of change.
Definitely. And speaking of great albums, I want to mention the Transplants album. You do guest vocals on that. Now, how'd you get involved with that? Because that's an amazing album.
Well, we've been friends with Rob and Tim for years. Actually, I mean, the Transplants began as just Rob and Tim together. It was really Rob's project, and I did vocals on that record years ago. Yeah, I mean, that record has been in the works for a long time, and we love those guys. But Rob used to tour with us. We tour with Rancid. We really, all of us really kind of have been in the same family for years. So when Rob recorded the Quick Death song, and it had kind of a ministry feel to it, kind of a KMFDM, a little Slayer involved, he said, "This is a song I want you to sing on." So he and I collaborated on the words and the structure with Tim, and it just came together.
At least. Now, what children's story could be best transformed into a horror story?
You said children's story, and I immediately started thinking of the children's stories that I've been reading lately, which are called A Series of Unfortunate Events. Series of Unfortunate Events. Are you familiar with those? By Lemony Snicket. Those would easily be transformed into a horror story because they're written in that vein. Nothing positive ever happens. It starts miserably and it ends miserably, and I think it's really tailored towards adults more than it is children. They're really wonderful children's stories, so check those out. But those would any of all the Grimm's fairy tales.
Yeah, the Grimm's fairy tales are really, when you look at it, they're really dark, and everything that happens is kind of depressing, and there's a lot of death, and it's kind of macabre.
Any of those, I mean, the original Cinderella with the blood and the shoes, and I was just thinking of some of the old fairy tales the other day. I was thinking of Jack and Jill, and I saw it, and I recited the whole. I call it fairy tale. It's not fairy tale. It's a nursery rhyme. Those are dark too. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after.
Because when those were written, a lot of those were meant to be these kind of these parables, like these kind of warnings to children, and so they always had kind of a macabre twist at the end. So yeah, those are good. I haven't read Grimm's fairy tales for a long time.
just want to know if there's anything you want to say to your fans out there on the web.
Yeah, we'd really like to thank all of you who have been with us for this long and who truly understand and appreciate what we're doing. I always say this was really true. Your loyalty and dedication really doesn't go unnoticed, and we really appreciate it. And we hope you continue to be with us from here on.
Get off the internet, read a book.